Usually use this model here to talk about the lungs. You do need to get the side on which the lung is found correct. So this is the left lung, and this is the right lung. The top of each lung, magnify, this little area here, and over here, that is going to be the apex. So the apex of each lung is at the top, like you would expect it to be. Unlike the heart, which was upside down. Because the base of each lung is at the bottom. So you have the base at the bottom, and the apex at the very top. The right lung over here has 3 lobes. This is the superior lobe of the right lung. It is where you would expect the superior lobe to be, on top. This little line or groove that you see me outlining, that is the horizontal fissure of the right lung. This lobe right through here is the middle lobe of the right lung. This is one of the more confusing aspects if you don't pay attention to it. The middle lung is not in between the superior and inferior lobes. I'm sorry, I said middle lung, didn't I? The middle lobe is not between the superior and inferior lobes. The middle lobe of the right lung is on the anterior of the right lung, but at the bottom. The inferior lobe is on the bottom, but it's at the posterior. Okay? Why do we call it middle and inferior then? It's because of how the branches of the secondary bronchi work. The middle lobe, its secondary bronchus comes off in the middle. The inferior lobe, its secondary bronchus comes off at the bottom. They're not named for their position relative to one another. They're named for how their secondary bronchi branch. The superior lobe has the superior secondary bronchus, the middle lobe has the middle secondary bronchus, and the inferior lobe has the inferior secondary bronchus. It is not about their location relative to one another. Again, the middle lobe of the right lung is on the inferior of the right lung. The inferior lobe is actually on the posterior inferior aspect of that right lung. And then you can see this oblique fissure separating those two. All right. If you come over to the left lung, the lobes are a little easier because you have a superior lobe up top and an inferior lobe at the bottom. Easy enough. You have a singular oblique fissure to separate those two. That's the oblique fissure. You see this indentation that I'm outlining? That is called the cardiac notch. Cardiac notch. Cardiac notch is an indentation formed by the apex of the heart. Basically how you make space for the heart. Cardiac notch. Same model, but the front covers are removed. You see these 2 vessels that are within the lungs? These are the pulmonary artery and vein, respectively. Since we're in the lung, you need to reverse your common colors. So the blue is the pulmonary artery, the red, the pulmonary vein. Again, blue is pulmonary artery, red below it, pulmonary vein. Next we have the hilus. The hilus of the lung is the doorway. It's where any vessels or tubes that need to enter or exit move. Basically, is where the pulmonary arteries, pulmonary veins, and primary bronchi enter and exit the lung. That's the hilus, this area here. It's on the medial side of each lung, so toward the midline. We do have another model that kind of shows you this outlined right here. So look here. See that white outline?
Yeah.
That's meant to outline the hilus. You can see the primary bronchus, pulmonary arteries, pulmonary veins going through this area. Again, this is just one version of it. Do we have any others? I don't think so, but I like this version here because you can see it kind of right there, being the doorway where everything goes in or comes out of the lung. Okay? that, I believe we're done with the lungs. We did superior lobe, apex, horizontal fissure, middle lobe, pulmonary artery and vein, cardiac notch, base. Yep, we did it all. Alright, so told you the lungs go pretty quick. Just a few things here, but they double it up and let's